Hello, glad to see everybody tonight. I don't see anybody, but I do see a lot of people online. So we're glad to be
He's watching y'all.
We're watching you. Glad everybody's with us tonight. We had initially planned to have another police officer from down the middle of the state come on, but his mother is ill and he was not able to come. She has an elderly mother that is dealing with some things, so he was not able to come on. But we have got some other things to discuss, and I think they're pretty important. And we're just going to go into it now. First, wanted to show a picture. This is actually a picture that my wife sent me on a missing person. This is Angela Green. She's 51 years old, missing from Prairie Village, Kansas.
Let me read what her daughter has put on here. The daughter said the circumstances behind Angela Green she was not reported missing until 8 months after her disappearance on the second month, 18th day of 2020. So February 18th. She is missing from Prairie Village, Kansas. Angela was last seen by her daughter on June 19th. She was last seen at the 7600 block of Tomahawk Road. When the neighbor asked the daughter where her mom was, they got a reply via text saying her dad told her that her mom had passed away from a stroke in July, but she thinks that might not be the case. Hilver said he does not believe Green died from a stroke. Police say they are treating her case as a missing persons and trying to locate her. After Angela's daughter was told her mother died, she drove to Topeka, Kansas, to the Capitol to get a copy of her mother's death certificate. When she got there, the vital statistics officials told her there's no record of her mother's death. That's when Angela's daughter knew something was seriously wrong and went and filed a missing persons report. An investigation began then. Angela's daughter said that that's when her father's story started to change, and she started recording their conversations. She said her father told her that the alleged facility her mom was supposedly being treated at called him at work in June 2019 and told him Angela was dead. Angela's daughter said her father then told her in a call that her mother's ashes were delivered by hand to their home. Her father told her the person he could not identify called him and told him Angela was cremated and he would bring her to the house. Angela's daughter said father told her the white man was in his 40s. He charged her father $1,500 in cash for ashes and left the urn without a receipt. It is illegal in the state of Kansas to cremate a body without a death certificate and the coroner's permit. Angela's daughter said her father told her he didn't work with the funeral home for her remains. In March 2020, Prairie Village Police Department served 2 warrants in relation to Angela's husband, one to the family home and another to an area where Green stores his vintage cars. It's unclear whether an urn was located at either location searched. No arrest has been made in Angela Green's disappearance. There is conflicting information being given to law enforcement, but Angela's whereabouts, that's very concerning. And so I can't even imagine what this daughter is going through. And so I wanted to highlight that. With the father giving her, who calls their daughter and says, the daughter calls and he says, oh, by the way, mom died of a stroke. I can see you moving your hand. Anyway, okay, I can't read what I read and then read their comments.
Okay. I had her run an errand for me quickly if she could. Actually, I forgot my coffee cup and left it in there. I'm so bad, but I cannot get up. I got things in my way here where I can't get up.
Sweetie, you drank it all.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Did I really?
Your cup's empty.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay. You'll survive without coffee.
Okay. But I wanted to play you something that I thought that was pretty interesting. Something I read, and I read right before actually we came on. This is really interesting.
Julian Hernandez was in the legal custody of his mother when he vanished in Alabama back in August of 2002. At the time, he was just 5 years of age. Fast forward to this past weekend, Jefferson County District Attorney says the 18-year-old was just filling out a college application when he discovered his Social Security number did not match his name. It was then that he and a school counselor realized he was actually listed in the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children database. And that is when police in Alabama got a phone call.
I received a call from the FBI office in Cleveland asking if Julian Hernandez was still missing. That they saw where he had been missing since 2002. We did some checking, we discovered that he was still reported missing, had not been talked to. They went and talked to him. Then they went and talked to the father, and that's when the identification was made.
Short time later, teen's father was arrested. Gene Casares has been working this for us. 13 years? You've got to be kidding me.
And the father, Bobby Hernandez, was arrested on really aggravated identity theft in Ohio because he allegedly falsified to get an Ohio state ID, assuming an identity that he was not. There is his mugshot right there. He's being held on $250,000 bail. But you're right, this all started so innocently, a young little 16-year-old trying to
go to
college, right? And it would have been in 2002 when he was 5 years old that he allegedly was abducted from his mother in Alabama. Now, I just got off the phone with the Vestavia Hills Police Department that tells me, because there are no Ohio charges yet, tells me that federal and state authorities might be looking at right now what charges to bring as we speak. But he also told me, and this is the Public Information Officer, Lieutenant Kevin York, that the mother and father were not married. There may be some issues with charges, he said. It is his biological son, Bobby Hernandez, but he was very well raised and was a very good student. So I actually looked at federal kidnapping laws because it's crossing state lines,
Sure.
right? It doesn't include a parent unless there's been a court order saying that that parental right has been terminated. So a lot we don't know about this story at this point, but we did get a statement from, first of all, let's go with the family, the mother of Julian Hernandez that has not had her son for 13 years. She told CNN, our family was overjoyed this week to locate Julian and learn that he is safe. We want to thank everyone for their prayers and support during Julian's disappearance. And also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they give a little hint of what may be the reality here. They tell us, we applaud Julian Hernandez for his courage in taking the first steps to find answers about who he is.
How's he doing?
Well, the statement from his mother goes on that please give us our privacy as he is focused on this extremely difficult period of time in his life.
It makes you wonder how many Julian Hernandezes there are in the database.
I know.
Right? Gene Casares, thank you so much.
Thank
You know, I was listening to that. A lot of the crimes, other than kidnapping, the statute of limitations run out. Kidnapping does not have a statute of limitations. Neither does murder. But if it would have been like the initial, say what he would have assaulted the mother through domestic assault, a statute of limitation run out on that. So, where there's a custodial parent involved, but no court order was there. It's going to be very difficult to prosecute him, I think, for a kidnapping. In those situations, they were not married. No court order said that they, but I don't know. It's going to be very difficult, but it's going to show you. And I've got another one here. If you can give me a little bit of time, I was reluctant about sharing all these, but these kind of all fell in my lap.
That's why you fell out of the chair.
I did here.
Several thousand people every day go missing in the United States.
Wait, that's not the one. I do want to play that in just a couple of minutes. It's a long one, but look.
Prayers are answered for the family of a teenager missing for the last 5 years. She is safe and well.
She's alive. That is the best thing that could have possibly happened.
Emily Paul was 14 when she vanished in 2013 from her home outside Tallahassee, Florida. Melissa Parker is her cousin.
5 years goes by
And you and your family, you don't hear a peep, right?
Nothing for 5 years.
Did you give up hope? Did you think she was still out there somewhere?
You never give up hope. I never stopped looking for Emily. I never stopped thinking about her. I can remember going out into crowds of people, and you look at every girl who passes who's around that age, and you think, is that her?
Then 3 weeks ago, out of the blue, a letter arrived addressed to Emily's mother.
In the letter, she basically said, yeah, I'm okay, I'm 19, I'm safe, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm where I want to be.
Was it a cruel hoax? Was Emily really alive after all these years? Police Captain Jason Daffin posted this message on social media asking Emily to come forward so they could be sure the letter was legit and not written under duress.
Emily, if you'll do this, then I can close this case and I can have a peace of mind knowing you're okay.
To everyone's surprise, Emily walked into a local police station and asked to speak to a detective.
Her remarks to him was that she was happy, she's fine where she's at, and that she had a good support system.
But there's a heartbreaking twist. Emily doesn't want her family to know her whereabouts.
It's crazy, but she's an adult now, and she gets to make that decision.
What do you think it's going to take to get Emily to come home?
I have no idea what it could take to get her to come home. I'm just hoping one day that she'll want to come back into all of our lives and be a part of it again.
I'm going to tell you, I think what probably happened in this case is she was being abused by a parent. That would make a lot of sense why, if maybe she left home because she was getting, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but if she was being abused, sexually abused or something like that, that could give a reason why she doesn't want anything to do with these people anymore. I can't imagine if she's not being abused or not having something, what would make a teenager run away and then say, I don't want anything to do with these people. And you notice it wasn't the mother or the father that were on there talking about it. It was a cousin. So I kind of think that said to me, big red flags, big red flags. Why not the mother or father get on there and say, look, we just want you to come home. We just call us, talk to us. We want to know, what you're doing, how your life is. It just sent big, big red flags to me from that. I want to discuss something here a little bit, and then we are going to discuss the 6-month anniversary of Suzanne Morphew. And I get a lot of headache. I got a headache last week from somebody sent me a real long email saying, I came to hear about Susan and all you did was talk about something else for a while. But, that's the way we do things. We would love to keep you on the channel as long as possible. It does help people, helps my channel. I just tell you, that's not the only reason, but I have these things. I just don't want people skipping out because I think these things are very important. This is something I read earlier today. Estimated 8 million children are said to go missing each year worldwide. Over 800,000 are in the U.S., 40,000 in Brazil, 50,000 in Canada, 39,000 in France, 100,000 in Germany, 45,000 in Mexico, and an estimated 230,000 go missing in the United Kingdom. I think it surprised me really about the United Kingdom and Germany because they're really small or in land mass, and to have that many people, go missing, children. A lot of them come back. I think I read 95% of them in Britain actually returned, or maybe it was 75% returned home. I think we talked about that. This is the people that actually keep track of all that. It's the ICMP, and they talk about this. I'm going to go over just a few little things in this. They say conflicts around the world, world wars in Syria they talk about. A lot of the shocking examples of recent decades in Bosnia, Herzegovina, I think that's how you pronounce it, Rwanda, Syria, and Iraq. Mostly men go missing there because they get drafted into the armies, and it doesn't always end up being the armies that are supported, or they are considered to be combatant, the ratio of 10 civilian deaths to every one of the combatants killed. That's a high number. Human rights abuses. This is cause of social and political control. Predators makes it this. It said the absence of victim and the anonymity of a predator makes this a crime that both sinister and very hard to combat. And then it talks about natural disasters like the India Ocean tsunami, 2012, left hundreds of thousands of people missing. You imagine that? I mean, they don't even know to this day how many people were killed in those disasters. So a lot of the people and children might be missing there. Organized crime, of course, is what we talk about, illegal narcotics industry in South and Central America, toxic combinations of drug cartels, right and left wing paramilitary, heavy-handed security forces. And then it talks about also in 2014, the Mexican authorities Mexican authorities that 12,532 people that had disappeared between 2006 and 2012. You know, it's just a further, they said 9,790 people already disappeared in the first 2 years of this president's term. It talks about immigration issues and how, and this would really just bother me. Amnesty International reported in 2012 that between 2006 and 2012, 70,000 people migrating from South and North America disappeared. 70,000.
Okay, Sarah wants to know, do the victims sometimes side with the abuser and blame the other parent, subconsciously blaming them for not protecting them? I can tell you yes.
And also, a lot of times they're one parent household too. They listen more to the parent that is there, no matter if they even are the abuser. They're there, they listen to them. You know, that just like that little boy, I'm sure his father is going to tell him, I took you out of a dangerous situation. I took you out of an abusive situation. You know, he's going to tell him, you know, he could tell him, you know, you were living in squalors. You were living in somebody that was going to abuse you. The relatives were going to abuse you. I saved your life, you know. Further, they say here, let me find the end of this sentence here. In the first months of 2014, violence in the Gaza, Syria, Iraq, and North Africa fueled a surge in migration and saw 160,000 people arrive in Europe. And we remember that. You know, Italian Navy reported to have 90,000 people at sea. And it's so, you know, a lot of people died during this migration from other people. I just was very surprised how many. Trafficking, and talks about human trafficking, said that basically it's a problem with people trafficking, likely significantly greater than it generally imagined. Because, I mean, we just don't know how many people have been human trafficked. And slavery, everybody talks about slavery, the 1800s, they are slavery now. I mean, it's no doubt slavery. It said here, report found that sexual exploitation is most commonly identified from human trafficking, 79%, followed by forced labor. And, you know, just like I talked about where I used to work, they used to, you know, even these people they came here on their own free will. They were housed and basically working jobs for menial labor, and they're losing a good bit of their earnings to the traffickers. And, you know, you don't think that they're being trafficked, but if you're giving somebody $2 an hour of what you make, and there's 450 people in this group, and they're making $900 an hour, and they're holding passports and threatening to enter your family in your home country if you go to the authorities, that's human trafficking. The overwhelming majority of missing people from armed conflicts are male. That's what we talked about. Then drafted into the military system. But they said disproportionately high number of missing people in the U.S. is female, and U.S. is under the age of 18, and that comes from runaways. And they talk about responses, missing people in 21st century. It's a global response. You're trying to do something globally to bring it down, and using DNA for identification purposes. A lot has been talked about people immigrating into the United States, like crossing the border, and about all these kids being housed. That's big in the news. They're housing 500 kids at the border, but one of the problems with this, and I personally have talked to U.S. Customs officers and Border Patrol officers, and here's what they're telling me. The majority of these kids, they don't have their parents. The people that bring them over here are not their parents. Their parents are paying these traffickers, the coyotes, to bring them into America. Hopefully they can be saturated into the American lifestyle and become citizens. They want better for their children, but they cannot give these children to the people that brought them over here if they're not their parents. You see what I'm saying? So it's a catch-22 for the government. They want them to be with their parents, but they can't give them to these people.
Well, and I know during one administration, they said they were just releasing them to whoever came down to pick them up.
And that's not good. You could get all kinds of slave labor, human trafficking, sex labor. I mean, everything. You just can't. You got to release them to a parent. That's right now. Say that we got killed in a train run over both of us and killed us, and we had little minor children. The only way that the state would release them would be to a family member, like a grandfather, a mother, a father, or some close family member. They wouldn't just, the neighbor down the road said they'd take them. And that's basically what they're doing. They're the people, when you release them back into the traffickers' hands, there's just no telling what type of lifestyle that they're going to end up being, And I think that is not the way to do it in any form or fashion. And I'm going to play this. It's a little long. It's 5 minutes long. If you can bear with me, I think it's well worth being played.
Several thousand people every day go missing in the United States.
In a heartbeat, a person can just be there and then gone. Rochelle was a beautiful young woman, was a paralegal. We really don't know what happened to her. She was at a social event with her friends, and she's been missing ever since. I wish I had. Let's just pick the ones. This photo was taken by my mother on the coastal highway of California. I truly miss her every day. I pray for her every day.
I think the shocking part about a lot of these cases is how various circumstances and situations can result in somebody just completely vanishing. There's just one case after the other where somebody was functioning normally in their life, and then in a second they're gone with no trace of what happened to them.
It's torture to think of what could have possibly happened. It's torture, really. It's torture.
Somebody's out in the middle of the wilderness and they succumb to the environment and then they pass away. In some cases, people go missing because of foul play. Some people go missing because it may have been an accidental type thing. Some people go missing because they want to go missing.
Ricky was tall. He was 6'2", 240, but he was still 14.
Ricky. Rick. That's Rick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you lose someone you love and you don't know where they're at, it takes all the joy out of the good things that you want in your life. There's been times that I thought he could be here. A knock at the door, noises that you hear, you're constantly wishing and praying that it's him.
You know, if you notice there, the boy returned home shortly after that show. So I'm sure that was good for that family. I think one thing could help us solve these missing person cases if every missing person family, the mother and father, would donate their DNA. And that would allow them to put it into database and find out if their son, especially the father side, if their son was arrested, because nowadays any felony they swab you for DNA and they put it in CODIS, and they
That's a great idea,
find that. Well, I think a lot of people are doing that, but it's not enough, because after a year, they've been gone 6 months or a year. They need to have DNA out there everywhere, you know, and you could help them if something turns up, being arrested in something. Okay, let's go up to our main topic, what I wanted to talk about today. And it's I think it's telling a little bit. Any questions or any questions about anything? 6 months anniversary of Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. You know, it is a shame that she was not found while Jean Mormon was alive. We can only hope, if you are a believer, that they are with each other now if she is deceased. And after 6 months, unless she is in hiding or unless she was taken by someone else other than what we think of happened to her, then it would be a high probability that she is deceased, unfortunately. The sheriff put out a statement. Today marks the 6-month anniversary of Suzanne Morphew missing person case. Suzanne Morphew, a loving mother, devoted friend, and wife, was last seen by her husband. Now that, I think, by them putting this in there, kind of set things up, knowing that the last person that saw her alive was her husband, Barry Morphew, on May 10th, 2020. Since that time, the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office has worked closely and tirelessly with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and the 11th Judicial District in intensive investigation to find Suzanne Morphew. Now, I think they put out this letter for 3 things. They want to let Barry and the family know, Andy and everybody, that they are still tirelessly working this. And they wanted to let Barry know that they know he was the last one to see her alive. And I think that makes a big, big, huge point. To me, it's a big point. They said in that time, there had been numerous searches, countless investigative interviews, and hundreds of tips reported in this case. That's another forward kind of letting Barry and the family know that they are still getting tips in the case. We thank our community for your assistance, concern, and patience. That said the sheriff here. I'm not going to repeat it verbatim, but since Sheriff, I think Pisa is the way they pronounce it. You know, a lot of people think the sheriff is dropping the ball, and I've heard comments that think that he may know Barry and he is being some type of preferential treatment. I don't think that is the case. I just simply think they didn't have the right DA in there, and two, they need as much evidence as possible. And later in this letter, you're going to see some pretty good information that they're trying to pass to everybody. We in law enforcement hope for the best and prepare for the worst. They're telling us right there, we hope she's alive, but we really don't think so. That's what I get out of it. The worst case scenario is that something unlawful occurred, and in such we go about our investigation, ensuing that we are working within the rules of law and treating everything we learn as potential evidence in court. You know, they could have said, worst case scenario, she got carried off by a lion or fell down a hill. So they don't think that's the case. You know, they really don't. And they're telling that we know things we're not saying. That's exactly what they're saying. So they're telling whoever did this, and I think we know who did this. They're saying, we know you did it, and we're looking at all the evidence until such time we can bring it to court. With specific case information is not available, while specific case information is not available, he's not going to tell. He's not going to tell what he knows. We want to assure residents that the case remains a priority. To preserve the integrity of the investigation, we cannot reveal all that we have learned, nor all that we are doing, but we understand your frustration in wanting the case resolved quickly. That said, with each day that passes, we learn new information in the case. Now, what they're saying is, look, they're talking to the person that did it. What they're doing right there, they're talking to him. They're saying, look, we're not going to tell everything. Look, we know the neighbors are nervous about this, but don't worry about it. We got this under control. We can't tell you everything we know, but we know what's going on. That, I'm telling you, he all but says it right there. He roundabout says it, but he's basically saying that to preserve the integrity of the investigation. He's saying, look, we know what the evidence is, but we can't tell you to preserve the evidence for court. He said, he said, although the winter months are approaching, and that's something we talked about, the winter months are approaching, the task force assembled to investigate Suzanne Morphew's disappearance continues to move forward and will conduct additional searches and other casework. So he's saying, even though it may snow, we're going to still be out there. And I want to tell you, this week, several people have said on other channels, and I've saw through social media, that the FBI and the CBI was in Salida this past week. So obviously they were doing some more case investigation, maybe on information they've received since their last press conference last month, I think it was, during the 5th month of investigation. Says in one aspect of the case, the task force continues to focus on Suzanne Morphew's social media presence. As a part of the investigation, investigators say Suzanne kept in touch with friends and that she loved dearly. They also believe that sometimes in these types of cases that people don't come forward with information of concern, and that they may get someone in trouble because they may get someone in trouble. To those who may be fearful, they basically says you can comment anonymously, and investigators will address their concern. And what they're talking about is this, and it's what I said all along. I think that investigators need to talk to everybody that was on her social media. The girl that she was talking to that night, texting back and forth, any people that are Facebook friends or Instagram friends or other friends, they would talk to, on social media. But a lot of times they're afraid to come forward because they're afraid that they're afraid they're going to get Barry in trouble. Maybe they don't believe he's involved, or they're afraid that maybe something's going to happen to them because they know that the news person was covering it and she got threatened, or maybe somebody's giving them a vague threat, like, people get hurt when they don't mind their own business or something like that. Somebody can say something vague to you, or maybe their family says, don't get involved. You don't need to get involved. Let the police do their work, So, I believe that might be it. But what they're wanting is anybody that maybe even somebody that's don't think it's a big deal, but maybe heard that maybe she mentioned something that she was doing. Because I even believe that girl, and if they haven't talked to the girl that was on the phone with her that night, I'll just say they had to talk to her. They had to. But I got a feeling she's let somebody know in the past if they were any domestic abuse, verbally or abusive or in any way. That we did hear that one person that said that she was on the phone with her and he came in and said, "You're not going anywhere." And they said it changed her whole tone, her mannerism, and everything. They do want you to come forward, though, and address everything that you've ever talked to her about on social media, no matter how small. Anyone that may engage with Suzanne on Facebook, Instagram, Voxer, I've never heard of that, whatever that is, FaceTime or WhatsApp, I've never been on that either, and would like to share new information or come forward that hasn't been interviewed, are asked to contact the Suzanne Morphew tip line. So if you got anything, no matter how insignificant, and they gave this tip line down there, that 719-312-7530. And listen, it doesn't matter how small it is. If somebody's listening to this conversation right now and you've heard something, maybe you don't want to talk to the police. Maybe you don't even want to call the tip line. If you want to email me down there at the missinglivestream@gmail.com, I will make that contact for you and pass along that information. I believe somebody out there knows something about this other than the person that did it. I believe that she may have told somebody in the past that there was some type of domestic abuse or some type of verbal abuse. You got a guy with an explosive temper living in the house with you. We've seen that from his incident in Indiana. Maybe there was ongoing, it's abusive, verbal abusive, or explosive temper. Might have had other incidents in the house that she told somebody about. If that happened, then somebody needs to come forward.
Do you think Barry could have killed her, wrapped her in a tarp, and put her in a bobcat to bury her in the forest?
That's always, there's been so much stuff revolving around the Bobcat. I think, he carries the Bobcat everywhere he goes. I've never seen him driving a truck without the Bobcat on it in any picture except the time that Draper brothers, the Tyson, interviewed him out there. That's the only time I've ever seen him not have the Bobcat. So it could have been very easy for him to take the Bobcat. I want to find out if he brought it. I would love to find out if he brought it to Bloomfield with him that morning. Did he have the Bobcat with him? If he had the Bobcat with him that morning, and I will assume he did, he could have very easily, like we're assuming here that he did it, okay? We're assuming. It's just, and we have to say that, I'm sorry, hypothetically, if he did have the Bobcat with him, if he did kill her, and he took the Bobcat and took it off one of these side roads, these fire roads, they call them, and being a volunteer fireman, he would know where every fire road is. To go up that road and dig something out with a Bobcat and bury somebody, absolutely, that could have very well happened. I do believe she never was on a bike ride. I think that's garbage. That's in my opinion.
CJ says, I wonder if she could be under the footer in the wall he worked on Sunday.
I don't think that's there. I really don't. Why would you? Here's my reason for that. And you think about it this way. Why would you tie yourself to the grave of your wife? Why would you do that? Why put something in the footer of a wall that you built? To me, that is insane. I don't think it's going to be on his property. A lot of people think, oh, it's on his property. You've heard the girl talk about the triangle, where he says, we've searched the triangle, and they think that the body's within the triangle. That's what I've heard everybody say that. I'm telling you, I don't think it could be in the triangle, but I don't think it's on his property. Now we're going back to, if Barry did this, I don't think it's on his property. I don't think it's in any place he ever worked. I don't think it's in the seawall. I don't think it's on any of that stuff.
Sarah says,
the reason why is, why tie yourself to it?
Sarah said, you don't think clearly when you're planning a murder, though.
I don't. I think he's smarter than that. Even though, he's stupid. If he did it, he's stupid. He did it. But I think why not take? You got to understand how wild this place is. How forest roads are running everywhere. If you go on the map around that place, they're everywhere. Why not just go off on one of these roads, take 15 minutes to an hour to dig a grave, cover it up, cover it with branches and everything, and you're out of there.
Angel said if he did it, he probably buried her in a place he was familiar with.
It may be, but if you're a fireman, you're familiar with all kinds of fire roads, He may have deer hunted somewhere up in that area. But why put it in a place you're working on? Why? Because they know if it was ever 20 years from now, if the wall got crumbling down from an earthquake because Colorado has earthquakes, or if somebody was out there in a car, drunk, hit it, and knocked the wall down, and there's skeletal remains in there, who are they going to tie it to? That's an instant guilty plea. Instant. Why tie it to anywhere that you are doing work at? I just do not believe that. I don't. I think there's too much forest around there. I think there's too much trails off of your land that you could take a Bobcat down through there, dig a hole, cover it up, and people may not find it for years, may never find it. But, and I, personally, I'm of the opinion, and that this is purely my opinion, I believe it happened in the house. The basement, maybe, where other people have said it happened, for however other information. I think whatever happened when she was on the phone. And I think it was an accident, maybe. Maybe it was an accident that had happened. You get mad at somebody. Maybe they hit them, they fell. sure, I'm not saying an accident like somebody fell off a ladder and hit their head. I'm talking about maybe it was an assault. They didn't mean to kill them, but they did. And then it goes from there. I don't believe she's alive.
But now let me ask you
hope
something.
she is, but I don't think she's alive.
When they went in and searched the home, they would have done luminol, wouldn't they?
Well, they carried the pictures. They are pictures of them carrying bottles
of luminol,
of something in, and I'm assuming it's luminol. Here's the thing. Let's just say hypothetically that they got in a fight. He slapped her. She fell down, hit her head on the fireplace, or hit her head on something and it killed her. There's not going to be a whole lot of blood if you didn't have a deep puncture wound. Maybe some, but you can actually get hit in your head and never bleed at all. You bleed on the inside, not the outside. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
It's going so fast. Someone set up, and you'll go back and read all the comments later.
Right.
But somebody said, oh, well, I forgot it. It'll come back around in a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, I have seen so much talk about the Bobcat. Oh, the Bobcat, the Bobcat, the Bobcat. I know that it surely the police luminol the Bobcat, put a dog over there, a cadaver dog around the Bobcat, took dirt off of the Bobcat, off the bucket area, and, as evidence of any type of DNA. I'm sure they did a lot of stuff. If the Bobcat was obviously involved, the Bobcat would be in police custody right now.
Okay. Sarah says he could have strangled her so there'd be no blood. The only thing with that is if she was on the phone call and the phone call stopped suddenly, if she dropped her phone or whatever, there would be somehow the phone went silent.
He could have grabbed it away from her and just hit the
okay, so the strangling
he could have done that. He could have gotten it. They could have gotten a fight. Could have strangled her. He could have done anything. The thing about the gun, him reporting the gun missing, that could have been a red herring. That you know what I mean? Made it look like because maybe there wasn't any blood in the house to say so. I would have loved to have seen all the stuff they took out of the house. They went back twice. They searched it twice. I've always said it's almost impossible to do a second search warrant. So how did they get the second search warrant? I kind of think there is DNA in the house that they had to go back for to find out if there's anything else.
Did they get a search warrant for the Bobcat?
I don't know, but it was outside. I mean, if they had the search warrant, I'm sure it was for the premise and the initial premises, then that's within a reasonable amount of feet of the house, probably for all the vehicles. And I'm sure they went over and they got stuff off the Bobcat. I'm sure they went over and tried to get some DNA off the blade, maybe took some dirt off of it to find out if it was,
They didn't do the Bobcat. Melinda says.
Well, they didn't get a search warrant for the Bobcat?
Never did the Bobcat, she said.
Or never searched the Bobcat. Never did the Bobcat. Wow. Well, do you think they did it the second time? If she was dead in the house, the dogs would have picked it up. Well, maybe not. It depends on how fast you get her out of the house. A dog alerts on decomposing body, the decomposing of a body. If you kill somebody in the house and you take them out within the next hour, that dog's not going to hit on that body. That dog's not going to alert that there was a dead person in the house. I wouldn't think. I think too, it depends on how fast they got the person out of the house. Just because if there was somebody killed in the house and they panic and take them out fairly quick, I don't think you'll have a dog will hit on it. The dog hits on the decomposing of the body, the natural fumes that come off a body when it decomposes. And it's going to take a while to cool down, The body doesn't start to decompose until it starts to cool down, I mean, you're not going to have fumes coming off a body saying you're dead for a while.
Do you think she's been moved?
I think that wherever he took her, Here's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know was, we're all assuming that Barry did it, okay? So if we're working off our own opinion and hypothetical thing right now, because I'll be honest with you, we really don't know. But just say he killed her in the house and he moved her outside. My thing was, how much did they go through the truck? First, they find her DNA in the truck. So what? It's his truck. It's their truck, So does he, if he was wrapped her in anything, they're not going to find any. Only thing they would be able to find in the truck that would be good for the case is they found blood, a lot of it. The fact that her DNA is in the truck, yeah, hey, that's no problem. She lived in there. They were married. They did 3 searches, Melinda, is what you're saying? I heard they only had 2 search warrants. Did they had 3? I know the second search warrant, any search warrant after the first is going to be very, very difficult to get. I'm telling you. I've tried to get, I've said that before, 3 search warrants. Oh, wow. I have tried to get a second search warrant for leaving stuff inside a house that belonged to me inside a search warrant. I've told this before. I left a $150, $120 flashlight in a house. I knew where I left it, everything. And I could not get the second search warrant. 3 altogether. Wow. They wouldn't let me go back and get my material I left in the house. Even though I could tell them everything, where it was and everything, they still wouldn't let me go and get it. So and I'm not saying that somebody says, no, it's only 2 search warrants. Well, regardless, I'm wondering do we know for sure that the Bobcat was not searched?
Somebody said counting the beachfront property would be 3 searches.
Yeah, if they did if they had a search warrant. Or I thought that property was on a consent search, a consensual search. A lot of times if you get a search warrant, what they'll do is they'll get a search warrant or they'll get a consensual search. The people say, no, go search it. And the minute they go out there and they find anything, say they're searching for remains and boom, they come up on it and they find a bone. Then from there, they secure the scene and they get an actual search warrant. And the reason is why a consensual search is easy to beat in court, because they're going to use, I really didn't want them to search. I felt obligated, or I felt pressure to let them search. I didn't want to go to jail and I felt pressured. And so a judge will look at that and see if there was any coercion to allow you to search. So that's why if they do work off a consensual search, then what I would like to do before, if we go out to a house, it's just, for instance, this is a real life thing that happened to me and another guy. We see a girl in front yard of a house. We've been told that they were dealing methamphetamine. The girl is what we call tweaking. She was high on meth. She was moving her head like this and looking all around. She was tweaking. They call it tweakers. That's it. There's no other better way to explain it than being very high on meth and acting very erratic. Well, when she went in the house, we went over there and knocked on the door, identified ourselves. Hey, we're, police officers, narcotics, can we talk to you? She said, sure, come in. Well, we could see on the table from where we were at, there was white powder was on the table. We didn't go over there. We asked her, hey, we've heard there's possibly a meth lab here. Can we search your house? Oh, yes. Go ahead. It's my house. You can search it. Gave us a verbal, we can do it. So luckily we had a vice of rice sheet with us with a thing saying that we could search, and she signed it. So we were in good shape. Well, one of the guys, I stayed with her back here sitting on the couch, talking to her, trying to get her find out what was going on. The guy checked around the bedrooms, nothing. When he comes to the living room closet, he opens it up and said, we're going to need a search warrant. Shuts the door, and we're going to need a meth team. There was a meth lab in the closet. So that point, we took everybody out of the house. It was just her. Secured the house. Got a search warrant, and then did a search warrant, arrest her for manufacturing and also possession. So, that's how that comes about. But,
Melinda asked me to look at Anna's question, and I'm trying to find it.
You need to go up.
How far up?
Let's see. Let me see if I can go up here.
Somebody also said Draper and them are talking about it tonight. The wedding, the mother. I don't know what.
Good. We are going to try to. They're on at 8.
Yeah.
We're going to try to slide out of here in a couple of minutes. I just want to share one more thing with you. I want everybody tonight. Tell me what you think about this. Go over to this channel right here. It's the name. It's Team Phoenix. They're about 5,000 subscribers. I don't know really what this is about or what's going on, but go over there and watch this video.
I found it. Are there any databases of mine shafts in the area? I bet there are.
I think they are, and I think there's one guy that's working with some people, I think, to explore other mine shafts, and I think they did, or with Andy. Hold on a minute. Excuse me. Go to this site, Team Phoenix, watch the video. Apparently, it is a video that is circulating around Facebook and other places. I could not find the original video, but this is somebody that went hunting with recently. It's snow on the ground there. They're at the Morphew house. The door is open to the house. You watch the video. The video was taken with a cell phone. The guy didn't know how to hold it right, and it's sideways. But watch the whole video. Somebody in the house shuts the door. Looks like might be berries in there, but I didn't think anybody was living there right now. So go to the video and watch it.
Okay. I reached out to the fireman chambers. I reached out to one of the pages and explained to them that we are invested in his disappearance, that if there's anyone in the family or friend that would like to come on and talk to us about, him, that we would love to highlight him, that we are invested in trying to help find this firefighter.
Yes, we are definitely going to stay on the Chambers case as well as this case. We are still going to stay on it. And I think it is a valid effort. He was a hero, in my opinion, and he deserves it. If nothing else, he deserves to be highlighted, and we're going to work on this. We're not going to let it go. And I hope Miss Becca, whoever the wife is, knows that. In fact, we might try to contact her and say, hey, I know you want to help find your husband. How about letting us help you, and tell her we are very much invested in the family? And maybe that will cause some heat to be caused, and somebody will generate something.
And maybe Melinda will be able to get a hold of the girls.
Yes, if anybody, we would love to talk to anybody. I'll dedicate a whole hour and a half to just that.
And let them tell us
let
about
them tell
him.
us about how, what kind of person he was, and generate some leads out of this. We definitely need some leads to find him. He deserves it. You know what? He deserves it.
And I reached out to another family of a young man that's missing and asked them if they would like to come on, and they asked for our information. So I gave it to them. They haven't reached out back yet, but if they do, I will let y'all know.
Okay, y'all go over to the Draper channel and tell everybody that we sent you over there. I want them to know that we are supporting their channel.
Yes.
We definitely want to support their channel. I'm going to go off of here with my pups that I showed the other night. So y'all enjoy it, and we will see you back on Tuesday unless something drastic happens in the meantime. God bless y'all.
I got the food. I'm going to feed the horses.
Maggie! She does not like the horses getting her pears. Maggie, oh, get your nose out there. Watch this. Watch this. Here you go. Can you bite it? Here you go. Good job. Where's Donkey? Donkey! Maggie! Listen, sit. Do you want this pear? You want it? Do you want it? Okay, wait. Can you wait? Can you say please? Please, okay. Thank you. So jealous of the horses. Hold on a minute. Y'all, I'm sorry about this video. Oh. Say my teeth are old because I'm an old horse. Yeah, y'all see the pretty colors? Where's the donkey? Did y'all run Donkey off? Donkey! And there comes little Gracie. Gracie, you coming to eat? Huh? Want another one?